Hello. Today I want to show you how to make a fume extractor for soldering works because I'm in a student accommodation and there's a fire alarm right above my head and you don't want to get into trouble with those things. So the first thing you need is a fan. I bought this Be Quiet Pure Rings 2 fan because they're really silent even at max RPM, and I'm trying to shoot videos here and I don't want a noisy fan. It's a 120mm fan. It's a 3-pin fan which operates at 12 volts, 1500 RPMs, and it will generate about 20 decibels of noise at max RPM. You can get cheaper fans, but I'd rather not use cheaper fans. The next item that we need is a carbon filter. I bought this one, but it was a bit too small for the fan, as you can see. Doesn't cover the whole area, and I got another one which is a bit bigger, but I'm gonna use both of them, so I need to cut these to size first. Let's do that. Again, if we check, this fits perfectly on the fan. So we got our 2 pieces of filter ready. And the next thing you need is a guard to keep everything in place. So I'm gonna grab 4 bolts and 4 nuts to put it on. So I'll be using these M4 bolts because they fit the size of the holes on the fan perfectly, as you can see, and I'll be using these nylock nuts because they don't come loose with vibrations, which is what I want. Okay, let's start. So we will be using the exhaust side of the fan because you don't want to block out your intake with your filters. Then grab the bigger filter, place it on top of the fan, grab your smaller one, line it up, and then place your fan guard behind everything. Line up the holes and put your bolts through. After that's done, grab your fan and place your nuts on the other side. First, hand tighten them a bit and then use a screwdriver to secure them fully. Okay, now let's use pliers and a screwdriver to tighten all the bolts all the way. And this was the last bolt. I had to use pliers because the nylock nuts are much harder to screw in than usual nuts, so you have to use some kind of pliers. A needle nose plier would work just fine as well. Now we can start to test if the fan is working or not. Here I have a connector that connects into my 12 volt rail, and I'll be connecting it using 2 pieces of wire to the fan connector. So here's the negative, so we put the black wire into it and just screw it in. And we do the same for the positive wire, which is the red wire, and just screw it in. Okay, now if you take your fan connector, you should be able to see some markings on it. I don't know if you can see it on camera or not, but the first pin is the ground or the negative. So I put the black wire into it, and the second one should be your positive. And as we can see, the fan starts to spin. And you can't really hear much, which is the nice thing about these fans. And I can feel the air coming, so it's doing its job. But I want a more permanent setup, so I'll be modifying it a bit more. So let's take this connector. As you can see, there are 3 metal pins here, and if you apply pressure to them, you can take them out of the connector. So let's do that. And here it is. As you can remember, this is the first pin, so this should be our ground pin. So I'm just gonna strip it and put it in the connector. We will put this in the negative terminal of the connector. And we repeat the same thing for the second pin. Press down on it and pull it out. Okay. Bend it and put it in the connector. And screw it in. Now, we won't be using this last pin, so we can just cut it off. Okay, so let's test it in action. First of all, connect it into our 12-volt rail and spins, as you can see. Let's take some solder wire and test to see if it absorbs the smoke or not. And as you can see, all of the smoke is going into the fan. And if I disconnect it, you can see that there's a lot of smoke that doesn't get filtered out. So I call it a success. Thanks for watching. See you guys later.